Hi there guys, I'm Nikhil from Greedy Tech and this is the complete review of Honor 8X after a month. For a quick recap, 11 months ago, Honor has launched Honor 7X. Last month, that's after 10 months, they have launched the Honor 8X. So what's new? New glass design, better cameras, better processor, and an increased price. Well, at least they are giving us something new, unlike Xiaomi, which put the same chip on the Redmi Note 6 Pro. Anyway, coming back to this phone, it is sold online exclusively on Amazon.in and Honor's very own official website. It is available in 3 variants. Base variant starts at 15,000 rupees with 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. Now, I've already posted the unboxing video, so check that out for the complete specifications and a physical overview. In this video, I'll just dive into the pros and cons, starting with the design and build. Just like the previous Honor 9 Lite, Honor 9N, even this phone has the same old glass sandwich design with an aluminum frame at the center, which by the way has a nice matte finish to it for a bit of additional grip. On the back, it has a visual grating effect with 2 visual effects like a two-tone finish. It does look quite unique. Now the phone itself feels very big, even for big hands like mine. It feels good to hold, doesn't feel all that slippery. But as usual, it does slip sometimes and it is a fingerprint magnet. So definitely get a good case. From day one, I have been using the free case that we get inside the box. Even the power and volume buttons are sufficiently elevated and they have a nice clicky feel to them. Now the best thing about the entire design is the bezels on the front. They are very small and even the notch is pretty small. Phone has a thickness of 7.8 mm and weighs just 175 grams. It doesn't feel super sleek and most importantly, it doesn't feel heavy either. Weight distribution has been done really well on this phone. It does has a slight weight to it, but doesn't feel that heavy or as heavy as Xiaomi phones. By the way, it does have a small camera bump to it, but it doesn't wobble when you put it on a flat surface. And even the camera module is well protected. So overall, in terms of design and build, I have no complaints. It looks good and feels great in hand. Now coming to the hardware section, it comes with all the basic sensors including compass, gyroscope, multicolor LED notification light, FM radio and a dedicated SD card slot, which is a very rare thing to see in a phone in this price segment. Now this is a SIM card tray. It is made of plastic but doesn't feel all that flimsy. It is very well built. Now obviously this phone supports dual SIM along with dual 4G and dual VoLTE, but still doesn't have support for native video calling. Now coming to the fingerprint scanner, it is pretty fast, but it still takes like half a second to unlock, so it is probably the second best or the third best fingerprint scanner I have seen. By the way, in the unboxing video I have said that the fingerprint scanner is slightly slow, but after a few updates, fingerprint scanner, at least the speed has improved a lot. Now coming to face unlock, yes, even this phone has it and it is pretty fast. Now it is not as fast as OnePlus phones or Oppo and Vivo phones, but it is still pretty fast. It takes like half a second probably. It even works with my glasses on, but it is slightly slower. In low lighting conditions, once again it works and takes like a second to unlock the phone. In complete darkness, it's mostly a hit or a miss. Now coming to the display, this phone really has the most awesome looking display or the massive display in the price segment. This phone sports a 6.5-inch display with Full HD Plus resolution with 91% screen to body ratio. As I've said earlier, bezels all around are super slim on this phone and the bottom bezel is just 4.25 mm, which makes it almost a bezel-less phone or the best bezel-less phone in this price segment. Just like the previous Honor phones, you also get the notch. If you don't like it, you can also hide it. But for most of the applications, even while watching videos on YouTube, we see a black bar near the notch, which is just a waste of screen real estate. Now coming to picture quality, sunlight legibility is good, viewing angles are great, color reproduction is also pretty good. On the whole, I don't have any complaints and the display on this phone is definitely one of the best things about this phone. Now coming to cameras, on the rear this phone sports a dual camera setup with a 20 megapixel primary camera with f1.8 aperture. That's followed by a 2 megapixel secondary camera with f2.4 aperture for depth sensing and to take portrait shots. On the front, it has a 16 megapixel camera with f2.2 aperture. Now these are some sample pictures taken in daylight and village conditions with and without AI mode. Rear camera is actually pretty good. But once you enable AI mode, colors pop out and all the images look artificial and edited. Sometimes images shot with AI mode also look pretty good. So I usually take pictures in AI mode and then disable it later if I don't like it. Now these are some portrait shots. Edge detection isn't perfect, but it's manageable. On this phone, in the portrait mode, it will take a portrait shot that's a photo with a blurred background, only if it can see your face properly. Otherwise, you'll get a normal picture. In that case, you need to use the aperture mode. Now these are some selfies. They look a bit overexposed and colors look faded, but still the dynamic range and exposure control looks pretty good. Overall, I like the selfies. These are some portrait selfies. Once again, edge detection isn't perfect, but pictures do look good. Now this phone also has a dedicated night mode, just like the new Pixel phones. Right now results aren't that impressive, but still it's a good start. Now coming to video recording, there is no 4K recording option, but we can record video in 1080p at 60 fps. And once again, like with all the Honor phones, especially in this price segment, there is no stabilization. But in the footage, exposure control and dynamic range is good. Footage is slightly to the warmer side, but color reproduction and focusing speeds are all good. I just wish it had stabilization. Now this is the sample footage from the front-facing camera. It's not very wide. Once again, there is no stabilization. Footage looks overexposed and very bright. Overall, I'll say it's just okay. It even has slow motion video recording where we can record video at 120 fps and even at 480 fps, and both the footages will be saved at 720p resolution. Here's the sample footage. On the whole, cameras on this phone are pretty good and also gives you a lot of camera related features like Pro Mode, Pro Video Recording, which is pretty unique to Honor phones, AR lens, AR background effects, and many more. Now coming to performance, this phone sports a Kirin 710 processor with Mali G51 GPU with 4 Cortex A73 cores clocked at 2.2 GHz and 4 Cortex A53 cores clocked at 1.7 GHz. These are the Antutu and Geekbench cores. In terms of raw performance, it is better than Snapdragon 636 seen on the Redmi Note 6 Pro and close to Snapdragon 660, which is seen on Mi A2 and the Realme 2 Pro, especially when it comes to gaming. On normal usage, phone feels pretty smooth and I didn't notice any lag. Even for gaming, this phone is really great. I have played Asphalt 9, Modern Combat 5 and PUBG, and I didn't notice any major lag or any other issues. And I personally love how huge the display looks. Probably the biggest display in this price segment. With the latest software update, it also got the 4D Smart Shock feature seen in Honor Play, and right now only PUBG is supported. Now once you enable this feature, you get a haptic feedback or vibration while you're shooting or if someone else is shooting at you or shooting somewhere else. And depending upon the gun you use, you get different type of haptic feedback, and that's just a cherry on the cake. Now the haptic feedback itself isn't as good as the one seen on Honor Play, but it is still usable and much better than other phones where you don't see this feature at all. Now the processor used in this phone also supports GPU Turbo. Once again, it is exclusive for PUBG as of now. When I first did the gaming review, I didn't notice anything new, but after a few updates, PUBG felt more smoother and even the game loads faster. So when it comes to performance, I really don't have any complaints and it is definitely worth the price and performance is definitely more than sufficient. Now coming to software section. This phone is running a skinned version of Android called EMUI 8.2.0 based on Android 8.1.0, that's Oreo, with the latest November 1st security patch. When I first unboxed this phone, it had some previous security patch, and since then it has been getting regular software and security updates with the latest November security patch, along with some bug fixes. Probably like a week or 10 days ago, this phone had an issue with Amazon Prime and Netflix, where there was a problem with audio sync, and that has been fixed with the latest update. So this phone, at least as of now, is getting regular software and security updates. Now as this phone comes with a skinned version of Android, it does come with tons of features. I've already made a dedicated video explaining about all the best features on this phone, but personally for me, fingerprint gestures are something I really like, especially the one to pull down the navigation bar. I really love it on this phone. Besides that, we have tons of features and you can control each and every aspect of the phone. Like you can turn off or turn on the LED notification light. We can also display the network speed on the status bar or the notification area, which is once again something I really like. And at least in India, we can also record calls automatically, which is something I really use. So when it comes to software features, it is really loaded with tons of them. You should really check out my video to know about all of them. Now coming to memory management, I have the 4GB RAM variant, and even on this variant, memory management is pretty good. Overall, phone feels pretty responsive and feels very smooth while multitasking and while switching between applications. So in the software department, I really don't have any complaints, but I just wish it had MIUI 10-like gestures. What Honor is offering is still good, but I'm more used to MIUI 10 kind of gestures. On this phone, we have a single button navigation. Once you enable it, you can simply touch it to go back, touch and hold to go home, swipe left or right for recent apps, and swipe from the bottom for Google Assistant. So even this implementation is good, but personally for me, I really like the gestures from MIUI 10. Anyway, coming to audio department, speaker on this phone is sufficiently loud. It's not super loud, not the loudest one I've heard in the price segment, but it is quite loud and sufficient for media consumption, ringtones and alarms. Now coming to audio experience on headset, there isn't anything awesome or fancy to talk about, but this phone does come with Hiss and Sound enhancement where you can tweak various aspects related to audio from the headset. You can change the type of headset, you also have 3D audio, and you also get an equalizer. So if you're into audio and if you know how to tweak these things, you can tweak these things and have a better audio experience. Now coming to the battery department, this phone sports a 3750 mAh battery, comes with a regular 10 watts power adapter. This phone can get up to 50% of charge, that's from 0 to 50 in 1 hour, and it takes almost 2.5 hours to charge your phone completely from 0 to 100%. Now coming to battery life, on average I got about 5 to 7 hours of screen on time. Definitely lasted me more than a day. By the way, the processor used on this phone, Kirin 710, is built using 12nm architecture, so it's also very power efficient. Now this phone also has lots of battery saving modes like ultra power saving mode, smart resolution, and other app launch settings where you can tweak them and have a much better battery life. On the whole, battery life of this phone is pretty good right out of the box, and you can further improve it by tweaking some more settings. So guys, to conclude, I just have one thing to say. This is definitely the best phone that you can get at 15,000 rupees. At least right now. This is the only phone which comes with a massive 6.5-inch display with very small bezels all around, with a new notch design, which will be great for gaming and media consumption. Once again, this is definitely a great alternative for Redmi Note 6 Pro, even the Realme 2 Pro. Not completely, but for most of the aspects like performance, cameras, battery, and the massive display. So guys, what do you think about this phone? Do let me know by commenting below this video, and if you're planning to buy this phone, please use the link in the description. It always helps the channel, and if you want us to make any specific video, tweet out to us with hashtag AskGreedyTech on Twitter and I'll try to make it as soon as possible. I'm Nikhil from Greedy Tech signing off. Have a nice day.